I'm realizing I've now done this thing twice where like Stranger Things is such a hit and it's so great and I joined season 3 and Inside Out is so amazing and it's such a hit and I'm joining movie 2. And I'm like, wow, I'm really just hopping on the rainbow projects. I'm just being like, oh, sure. Oh, it worked. Well, I'll get on.
Hi, beautiful human. I'm Zach. That's Dana.
Yep.
Welcome Maya Hawke to the studio.
Hey.
Hi. Yay. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Zach. You're also a beautiful human.
You are really, it's cool to talk to you. There's so much to get into. You bring up actor voice. Is that what you're channeling when you're in a voiceover booth and bringing this character to life? Which, by the way, you have the weirdest voiceover experience. I've never actually talked to anyone who's voiced podcasts before.
Oh, yeah.
But you're
tons.
big in the podcast scripted world, sis.
I am. Well, I love to work. And so I love my job. I love to work. And it's really hard to get on a movie set. And it's really hard to get on tour. And it's really hard to get in a studio. And so I just kind of try to mix those things up by, going into these opportunities to make these other creative projects. And the really exciting thing about the podcast space to me is that because it doesn't require as much money as a movie does to make a podcast, you can be freer and experiment with different material and try out different voices and parts, and the stakes are a little bit lower. So I think it's a really free creative space.
And you've done cool podcasts. Like,
thank you.
You did the Roe versus Wade Supreme Court series.
Yeah.
You did the Playboy interview. And then you did like a companion podcast to Stranger Things, which is sick.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I love that. That was, that's the Rebel Robin one you're talking about. Yeah. It was based on this book that was written based on the character from the show. I mean, it's like, but they were like, you can do this or we'll pay someone else to pretend to be you. And I was like, well, I'll do it. Why not?
I feel like that's the energy you bring into a lot of things, which is like, why not? As long as it's creative.
That's pretty much my deal. As long as it's creative, as long as the writing is interesting, and as long as the other people who are making it love what they're making, I'm pretty down.
That's what a healthy attitude to approach something with. And it's kind of like a not say no, but it's kind of like maybe a how.
Yeah, it's more how and like and can and is it possible? Is it like so that's kind of like how. So like is it possible? How are we going to do it? Is the process going to be good? Are the people involved kind? That's kind of more how I think about it.
Do you apply any of that? I mean, there's probably a lot that you apply, but anything in that realm specifically to music?
Well, I think I bring a lot of stuff from my life as an actor into music. Most of it is about collaboration and teamwork. I think that, filmmaking, if you go to see a movie and you sit through the credits at the end, you will watch an army of people, the names chalk by. And it takes an army to make a movie, and it's such a collaborative medium. And it starts with the writer and the script and the director. But then by the time you get to the end, a lot of the time, the different departments will know more about certain details of the thing. Like, the visual department will know more about how the movie looks than the director or writer. And the actor might know more about that character than the writer even did when they started writing it, because the actor put so much time into just that one thing, You
become experts in that part of this machine that it takes to build this universe.
In the part of this collage, yeah, exactly.
So
and
cool.
So I kind of like to take that into music. I mean, when I was making this record that just came out, I really wanted kind of to go to summer camp with everybody that I work with for a month and make everyone kind of stay in the same place and eat dinner together every night. And I wanted everyone to have written something on the record, contributed some of their own creativity, because I wanted them to feel ownership over the project and to move into it with the feeling that it belongs to them a little bit, because they're working so hard, and they deserve to have it belong to them and to feel like it's their dream too. And that's always how I feel. I've said this before, but when I'm making a movie, is like I'm joining someone else's dream and allowing it to become my dream too. And that's what I want it to feel like when I'm making records.
That's a beautiful way to approach it.
Thank you.
But also like healthy collaboration, incredibly creative, but also making, giving people like skin in the game, making it feel like it belongs to them. Because the truth is, like when art, like whether you're a writer or a producer, you have a hand in like that thing coming from nothing. And You want to make it feel like your own.
I think that's true. And, in the music world, it's not always that way. And I have had many experiences of like, you bring in a session musician for a day because you want some fiddle on this track. And you bring in the fiddle guy and the fiddle guy's like, how's this? And you're like, it's cool. How about you do it a little more like that? And the fiddle guy's like, okay. The fiddle guy's like, bye. And that's awesome. And like you can't have every instrument that you want to have be on your record there all the time, a part of the whole thing. It gets overwhelming to have that many people in the room. You need space. But if there's a way to have them, kind of your main players, your lead actors on the record feel really a part of the record as a whole and understand the way that their guitar solo on the third track is going to connect and reference their guitar solo on the seventh track,
cool.
And so that they're actually telling a story with that instrument. I don't know. I think that that's beautiful.
Was Chaos Angel your first approach at this creative style?
I did a lot of things differently for Chaos Angel. There are ways in which that style happened for my other records accidentally, that here it happened on purpose. But I did a lot of things differently. Like I had the title before I made the record, which is different. I had a visual lookbooks and landscapes before I went in to record the record, because I'd realized from my other two record-making experiences that you make the record when you feel like, this is me, this is my story, this is who I am. And then by the time it comes out and you're starting to work on music videos and cover art and all that stuff, that's not even you anymore. That's past you, right? And so I wanted past me or present me to build a kind of guide, a map for future me, who was going to have to make all this cover art and do all this music video and send out letters to the fans and do Instagram posts. Like, I wanted that future person to know what the past person wanted to say. Because I know by the time I would get there, I would actually have something totally different I wanted to say.
That's a really interesting approach that I've never heard anybody take.
Maybe they take it and they just don't talk about it.
I think people manifest in their songs all the time, right? Like, they like bring upon a reality that like even they maybe like they could have dreamed of, maybe didn't fully think was possible, but like putting it in that record or throughout that album, like people manifest in records all the time.
Totally.
But the like almost like saying, talking to your future self, that's really cool.
Thanks.
How do you approach that? Like, so do you start with what? Like, it starts with the visual landscape and all that kind of stuff, but that doesn't necessarily give you story.
Well, this time, I obviously started with the songs, but around the time that I was writing and recording the songs, I started working on the visual landscape and like writing essays about what I wanted the record to mean and what I wanted it to be about. Because I knew, you get to this point where they're like, oh, we need you to write us your I can't remember what they call it. It's some kind of thing they want you to write about the record. It's like your pitch thing or your bio or whatever about the record. And you have to write it months after you made the music. So I tried to write it before. I tried to write it while I was making the music, and come up with those ideas and thoughts about what the record was about, so that when I had to talk about it eventually, when I was sitting here in front of you having to talk about it, I would know what it meant to me at the time, and not just what it had become, what it had become for me.
So what did it mean to you then?
Then it was really about, the record was about breaking promises and figuring out how to heal from that. And kind of also dealing with promises that had been broken to you, promises made to you about who you were supposed to be, how you're supposed to behave. I kind of created this character that I've talked about a lot, but I'll do it again quickly, of this angel of love, this like girl who was raised to be a Cupid. And then when she comes down to finally get to do her job, she's like creating destruction and pain everywhere. And so she runs away and only kind of later realizes that actually the chaos that she'd created was a necessary ingredient for love. For change. The chaos was the necessary ingredient for change, and change was the necessary ingredient for love. And so I kind of came up with that story and wrote about it. And an alternate title for the record was Promise, because I realized I kept writing about promises and how young people and people generally, we kind of get into these relationship dynamics or these work dynamics, and we make these big promises like, I'm going to love you forever. I'm going to work with you forever. We're going to do this together always. And then your life implodes when you have to break that promise. When you change or the situation changes and you you can't sustain that anymore. And it blows up your life. And I was like, why are we making those in the first place? Why aren't we just looking at each other and saying like, I love you today? And, you know, talking about that and talking about the ephemeral quality of feelings and moments and times and trying to work toward an understanding that that other person is as independent, as changeable as you know you are, and also as demented as you know you are. And so they should be able to have empathy for the parts of you that are a little funny, you know, that are imperfect.
Do you find answers to the question of why people are making promises? Because there is this desire to commitment, but how do you balance that all, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was on this kind of pendulum swing between wanting to ground myself really intensely. Like, I want a place I live and I want to make it exactly my home and I want to live in it forever. And I want a partner and I want them to be my partner forever. And then kind of creating a version of that situation and then being like, I'm stuck, I'm not free, I need to be free. You know, and then trying to escape from it and then starting from scratch again, right back on the pendulum. And I think that that's not a super healthy way to live. I think we do it because we're striving for the sense of structure we might have had as kids where it's like, that's your mom, that's your dad, you don't get another one. Like, you can't pick a new one. That's just what you get. This is your house, that's what you get. This is your room, that's what you get. And as much as we, you know, as teenagers strove to break out of that, you also then become this adult and you're floating around trying to buy toilet paper and are like, oh, I actually want some consistency. I want some things that don't move. And so I think that the answer is that you have to live, I mean, the answer I've come to is that you have to live comfortably in the discomfort of kind of always having some things that are a little holding you in tighter than you want to be and some things that are a little looser and more chaotic than you want them to be, and try not to drill too deep down either way. I mean, like the classic worst advice ever, moderation. The most annoying, best advice anyone will ever give you, moderation.
Balance is everything.
Yeah.
How do you portray or get your collaborators in on this deeper vision when you're about to spend a month together to craft this album?
Well, talking. Because unfortunately, it is still the only way. But
do you have like do you in your brain have something ready to go? Do you have a presentation? Do you have lyrics ready? Like, what do you enter into for that month? Like, how do you come prepared to your summer camp?
I have all the songs. I mean, we went into the month of recording with all of the songs. And so, because I've been writing for a while before that, and then I brought my band together for like a week of writing sessions to kind of go over what I had so far. And we went over it and we talked about it. We worked up some new stuff. We reharmonized some parts and then parted ways for about 4 or 5 months. I wrote a couple more songs. And then we went to the studio and we had all the songs. I mean, and actually it was more of a winnowing down process. But basically talking to them, telling them what I wanted the record to be about, what I wanted it to sound like, and you know, getting their ideas and filtering that through, and then and kind of just going in and digging into these songs.
Scary to do that?
No, awesome.
That's cool.
Scary, for me, always the scary is the putting out. Like working with people, like making stuff, starting from an idea that is nothing, like it's actually nothing. You know, if you and I went to write a song and work on it together today, there would be nothing and we would create something. And even if we had to do that in front of people, like if we came up with anything, even like monkey, funny glasses bear, like, you know, if we got a little beat going with that and it got cool, like that would be awesome. And I wouldn't even be afraid to have someone watch because we're not that serious. We're just here being silly. I think what's scary is when you decide, okay, this is done. And now I'm going to like put my stamp of approval on it and say, I think this is good and put it out into the world. But the creative process is pretty much my favorite situation to be in, period.
Hello, beautiful human. Every year, millions of gamers experience IGSS, inadequate gaming setup syndrome. Luckily, a cure has been found. You have to go beyond with the Vibrasonic mattress by Beyond Sleep. This thing has 6 built-in subwoofers, USB ports for charging, LED lights so you never stub your toe. It gives you an acoustic massage when you want it, plus adjustable degrees of comfort. This right here is the best way to game ever. Secure your IGSS today at BeyondSleepTech.com.
So what is it about crafting a character and writing from that angle, yet you're still talking to your future self by making this music?
I think I retroactively applied the character. I mean, all these songs are really personal. They're all from my point of view, but Chaos Angel itself, the last song, was the final song written for the record. And the whole thing is really personal, but there's a bridge to the song. That goes, she was perched upon a lamppost singing an old ruin. It starts, you struck the Chaos Angel, aiming for a lost balloon, you know? And that bridge was like, oh, there's a character there. Who is this woman? What do I mean when I wrote you, you struck the Chaos Angel? And I meant me, because I meant I was this like well-intentioned person who was creating unnecessary drama in my life, you know? And like I was pitying the fool who would accidentally interact with me, you know, really. And so that's what I was writing about. And then I was like, oh, but this name, this creature, this Chaos Angel, that's also not me. You know, that's also like, and all of a sudden all this other language started coming up, like the Kingdom of the Golden Fleece, members of a secret order. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And kind of that went in the bridge of Chaos Angel, the final song. And then I kind of retroactively found a way to have all the other songs make sense to me from the point of view of that character, even though it was all me. I mean, you know, I'm just writing personally, but I'm an actor. I like characters. I like taking a character and making it personal, and taking the personal and making it a character. Which,
by the way, like makes music that kind of like more like very dimensional. Do you get what I'm saying? It's very much a universe. It's cool. Do you really pity people choosing to get to know you?
Not anymore.
You did though.
I did.
Why?
I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my feelings. They would come. I would get really excited, and then I would get really scared. And I didn't know when to trust the excitement or not. And I didn't, and it was really those two emotions. It was excitement and then fear. And basically it started to happen where I would start to be like, oh, I'm excited. I'm just gonna be afraid. You know, there was like many years where I was like, oh, I'm not going to be afraid this time, this excitement. And then I would be like, and then I reached a point, which is kind of around when I was writing this album, where, and kind of, I think this point is what helped me make the transition that I think I've made. But I reached a point where I was like, oh, I don't even want to get excited. Like, because I know the fear is coming. Like there is no excitement without this fear.
Fear of what? What you're getting excited for not happening? What is it? I think fear of letting people down, like fear of not being ready for the things I signed up for, fear of, I think like that kind of fear that I'm a different person than I thought I was, like almost this feeling that actually I'm supposed to be alone and I will be alone forever, and that like I am a woods witch who like is like not supposed to have friends and is just supposed to be like kind of a crazy forest character who like appears every now and then and puts on a sparkly dress and puts out an album and does a podcast and then goes back to the woods, you know, like that I'm just kind of a workaholic alone person. That's your fear.
That was the fear, I think, and that I would end up in these things that excited me. And then this fear would come back, that was my true self, and that my true self was going to come back to bite both of us in the butt sometime soon.
And where are we at today?
Balance.
Yeah.
Like people are allowed to have alone time, and they are allowed to have friends and loved ones, and they are allowed to love their work, and they are allowed to love their people. And you just have to have balance. You have to listen, and you have to tell people who you are. And I think that if you tell people who you are and prepare them, you know, from the jump, then you have a much better chance of things going well. I think, you know, it's a classic young person. This is not an original psychological analysis, but it's a classic young person thing. Your first couple relationships and things, you're reading the room, you're figuring out who people want you to be, you're becoming that person, you're getting a sense of what kind of relationship they want. You're offering that relationship. You're in a state of self-modification and creation to become the thing that will get you the thing that you want, that you think you want in the moment. And it doesn't really work because you end up in that thing, you get what you want, and then you're stuck there and you are not free and you're not you. And then eventually you are going to come back out and it's going to seem really scary and bring out a lot of fear when really if you'd just been you from the jump, you probably would have been fine and you probably would have found someone who liked you.
But like, you need to go through all of those phases to really understand and learn and evolve as a human being. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, you need to like...
I think so.
You need to have those shit people in your life to learn. Like, you need to like make mistakes. You need to also think, you need to go through all those phases.
But I'm not even saying, I don't even think those people are shit people. I think that like if somebody doesn't bring themselves into a situation, if they are lying about who they are and having like, then that doesn't make someone a shit person.
Sure.
For like being like, whoa, you're not this person you were telling, like you're the liar, you know? You're the person who was like, no, all I want to do is open your curtains for you in the morning and make your tea. That is exactly the kind of relationship that I want. You know? I mean, like it's, you can't lie to people and then tell them that they're a shit person for being disappointed that you're not the lie you told, you know?
No, it's true. But by the way, isn't that mutual though? Isn't everybody to a certain degree like going through a phase like in their life of just wanting to be the person that they think
someone else will like?
Yeah.
I think so. I think some people go through, some people's experience in life tells them that they don't need to change to be liked. And some people's experience in life tells them that they do. And I think.
Boom. Well said. That's true. It's true. Putting that against a lot of my relationships that I've held very close for a very long time. You know, and I do wonder, like, there's a lot of reasons as to why they work for so long.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's so interesting. Like, there was a phase, and you're younger than I am. Your Saturn's going to return soon, sis.
Oh, I know.
Congratulations.
I recently called my astrologer and found out, because I was like, what is going on? And they were like, you're Saturn. And I was like, oh, okay.
It's on the way.
It's on the way.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool phase of life.
Yeah.
But I do remember like being at a certain point in my life where like I could, like looking back, like there was all I wanted to do was please my friends. But like to a certain degree, all my friends wanted to do is please me in any relationship, right? It doesn't need to be romantic. It could be anything.
Totally. No, I mean, some friendships are some of our most powerful, I was just talking about this, most powerful relationships, most powerful heartbreaks. I mean,
100%.
for sure.
And also shape us into who we are. You know,
Totally.
You are the company you keep.
Totally.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of being the company you keep, you are a real artist and you've been for a long time. It's pretty wild. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
It means a lot to me. Coming from you, thank you.
I feel like you're solely motivated just by what? Is it just the creation of turning so much of something from absolutely nothing?
Maybe. I'm deeply socially motivated. I mean, this is an embarrassing thing to say. Yeah, but when I was a kid, I had a really hard time making friends. But if you went to the theater or you joined the choir or you went to band, there was community there.
Totally.
And it was usually a community of other people who had a hard time making friends. And you also had something to do together where you weren't just sitting down and being like, how are you? How are you? What do you think? Do you like that movie? No, I thought it was stupid. You were making something together, which elevates the connection, elevates the conversation. And I think it's my favorite way to socialize, working, like making things with other people. So I'm deeply socially motivated.
That's cool.
And it's like I love to work. It's why I work with the same people so much. I love to work with my friends. And because it's a great way to hang out where you're just, it's not so much pressure on the hang because you have something else you're doing, And I think a lot of people get that like just going to the office or whatever. You got your friend at the office that you hang out with, but when you don't go to the office, you have to build the office. And then the privilege of that is then you get to build your dream office, where you bring in your favorite people to work with. And so there's that. And then I think I don't know, I just have one of those like brains that just doesn't want to stop making stuff.
Yeah.
And doesn't want to, and gets excited by ideas so I don't know, I love it.
Why do you make music?
I've made music my whole life. I basically never had the intent to do it professionally. only very recently has that started to be like, whoa, okay, maybe.
Well, we're 3 albums in.
I know. I know. But I really even, the first one for sure. I mean, like the second one, I started to kind of be like, but even then I wanted it to be this like purely creative outlet. And I had this fear that if it became professional, it would become commercial. And if it became commercial, it would become corrupted. And all of a sudden I'd be like sitting in the studio being like, the BPM isn't high enough, like, so, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to be expressive, personal, non-corporate, like I was okay to like lose money doing it. I was just like, let's do it. Because I love writing songs. I love how powerful a communication tool it is. I love writing poetry. And I think that poetry is an extremely difficult form these days. There used to be like poets, like poets on staff, and they just don't really exist like at the school. Like,
no, but now they're songwriters.
Yeah, well, exactly. And now they're songwriters. And so I love writing poetry, and I think that songwriting is actually maybe the most powerful. Sorry to anyone who disagrees with this powerfully in the poetry world. I am sorry. I probably think you are probably right and smarter than me, but I think that music is one of the most powerful ways to deliver a poem, and really can deeply elevate language. And so I just love it, and I've always been doing it, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger part of my life, and I'm going with the flow, following the dragon.
So this album, it meant something different to you when you wrote it, but what does it actually mean to you now?
Well, right now, just on the wake of it coming out, the feeling is mostly just like so excited that people are listening to it and that it's starting to mean something to them. But it's meant a lot of different things to me. I think as I was starting to finish it, I really had thought I'd made a really happy record, and I was starting to finish it, and I realized there was this kind of like really dark undercurrent in it, and it made me want to write another song to like flesh out that undercurrent. And that song was Hang In There. It was the last song written for the record, because I started to hear that song popping out in the rest of the record, like I was like, oh, there's an unwritten song here. There's a secret in here. And I think the secret has to be released. I think it has to be told.
Are you pulling that from the lyrics?
Yeah, the lyrics. And yeah.
How does the last song begin?
The very last song? Or the last song I wrote for it, Hang In There?
Yeah, Hang In There.
That song begins, he said he could see through to your core. You thought his heart was open like yours.
Was that the first lyric that came into your head?
No, the first lyric that came into my head for that song, last song, was the bridge, which is is there a way I could make it all easier to swallow? That was the first lyric.
Are you talking to somebody?
Yeah,
Throughout the entire album, you really are, right?
Well,
kind of.
Throughout the album, yeah. I mean, there's lots of different people that each song is talking to throughout the album. That song is pretty direct address, and I really like and don't want to ruin the 2 different reads that I've been getting of the song. And one of them is that it's like me talking to a friend who's been through something horrible. And one is that it's me talking to another past Maya, a past version of myself, and trying to comfort the past self, being like, it is going to go as bad. The chorus is, he's going to get away with it. I know I've been there, but you're going to get the hang of it. Hang on, hang in there. And being like, something bad did happen, and there will be no retribution. Like, this person will not have to pay for their bad deeds. And I think, we're dealing with that a lot right now in the world. Like, people, getting charged on 31, 32 counts of a crime. And 34.
I counted.
34 counts of a crime, and there's no, seemingly going to be no retribution.
Crazy.
Can't vote, but can still run.
Convicted criminals can't even go to Toronto. Can't go to Japan. Can't run for a city, a city board. Can't run to be on a school board.
But I guess there's they can run for president loophole?
It's on the federal level. You can run, yeah.
I have a dream that like every ex-con should just now enter the race. Like, we should just get, like, the richest ex-cons that exist, like, band together and should all get in on the race. And there should be just 2 ex-cons.
It's crazy, dude.
It's really crazy. But anyway, so that's kind of like sometimes there is no retribution. You know, sometimes good things happen to bad people. And
that's a reminder record. You can.
One second. Your team has to come in and show you something, apparently.
Is it my hair? They're upset about my hair?
Not in the slightest. Hello, I'm so sorry.
What's wrong?
What's wrong?
Gretchen wants to make sure that she has to go to the airport
Oh.
right now.
No,
that's
not
the
that's
guitar
not it.
And not that case.
No.
Okay,
it's,
which one?
It's a nylon string.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Oh
So
my God.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, it's all fine. I'm going to play on the Daily Show in New York in a couple days, and
Sick.
my guitar is in Atlanta. So my friend is going to fly my guitar from Atlanta to New York so I can meet the guitar in New York and I can play on the Daily Show.
Rock the fuck
And there's
on.
a bunch of guitars in our house in Atlanta, and so they wouldn't want to bring their own guitar.
Is Atlanta where you call home?
No, it's where I call home this year because I'm shooting Stranger Things.
Oh, cool. I
so-
love Atlanta.
Oh, me too. Where do you stay when you go there?
I mean, my friend had my friend lived there to shoot her show. I was there a few times. She
Oh,
in
cool.
Buckhead.
Yeah, I stay in Cabbagetown.
Cool.
But I love it there.
Really pretty. Mm-hmm. By the way, Stranger Things, cool show.
Very cool show.
Yeah, mazel tov to you.
Thank you. I mean, I'm realizing I've now done this thing twice where like Stranger Things is such a hit and it's so great and I joined season 3 and Inside Out is so amazing and it's such a hit and I'm joining movie 2. And I'm like, wow, I'm really just hopping on the rainbow projects. I'm just being like, oh, sure. Oh, it worked. Well, I'll get on.
But in a certain way, it's a harder task, right? Like there is a responsibility when you show up to that set or when you show up to the booth. I mean, obviously different sets of responsibility, but there's a common thread to the responsibility, which is you're a part of something massive.
Yes.
And like you got to show up or you got to get out.
Yes. It's true.
Pressure?
Pressure. Yeah. I mean, my first season, I felt a lot of pressure because I've said this before, but I love TV. And I love TV so much. And I love like episodic, like procedural, like office comedies. I like a workplace comedy or a workplace drama. And which Stranger Things is not, unless you consider the upside down a workplace, which maybe it is. But when they introduce new characters, I'm often heartbroken because I'm like, I know this person is going to take screen time away from my old characters that I love and might even be dastardly transitioning them to leave the show, which I don't want. And so I was really nervous to come on a show like that and to have people be like, oh no, I just want to be with frickin' the characters I love already. Why are you making me spend time with this sarcastic teen? But it ended up going great. And I think that going great has given me a lot of confidence that might be unearned because I really think that creators like the Duffer Brothers and like Pixar and like the creatives around Inside Out are people who know how to introduce a new character. You know, they do it over and over again. And it's not even about the actor necessarily. I think it's really about the skill of showing the audience why it's exciting that their world is being broken.
It's cool. By the way, it also adds to the responsibility, right? Like you have to be that professional. You have to be that person who shows up ready to do their thing.
Yeah.
You're trained for it. You are not green, as they say.
Well, I'm like turquoise.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, is there like truth to your speed of talking and your character on Stranger Things?
I don't know. You've talked to me for a little while now. Do you think there's truth?
I mean, apparently you can get through crazy amounts of dialogue really quickly. And
I can do that.
For the sake of transparency, I have not watched all of Stranger Things.
That's fine. And
I bailed before your season. I'm just, again, this is a space of
I like
honesty.
it doesn't hurt my feelings at all.
Yeah, there's enough people watching. Like,
Yeah,
they don't
there's plenty of
fucking
people
need
watching.
me.
They don't need you.
They're good.
Yeah.
I'm watching other things on Netflix.
No, Robin does some fast talking. I mean, I'm a fast talker, I think, generally.
Yeah, but it's very clear.
It's very clear. Thank you.
But it's not like a Trisha Paytas speed talk. It gives anxiety.
Well, I think that's partly why I got that part. I think that the Robin kind of like, I don't know, I just thought that we could go do this and then we could do that and then and like I think that's kind of what got me the part of anxiety.
Can you what is that process like?
The process of working on Stranger Things, of working on Inside Out, or talking fast?
I mean, okay, let's start with
all three.
Well, all three. But let's start with anxiety because that's a huge call to get. And you have to audition, right?
Yeah, I did an audition. I think a huge part of it was the Robin of it all. But I did an audition and I cried in my audition because just being explained the plot of the movie made me weep.
Oh.
And and then I read for the character, but I in my own life, I have this, and I've said this a ton recently in this press I've done for Inside Out, but in my own life, I created this character to voice my own anxiety so that, like, let's say we've got to go to the airport, and I understand that we're going to be on time. I understand that we're going to be early, even if we leave in half an hour, but actually I am going to be really nervous throughout the whole drive and going through the airport, and I'll be so much more relaxed if we just leave right now, and then we can go right now, and then I'll feel better, and I know that I'm being crazy, but then maybe you just want me to feel better because then I'll be less crazy, and then you'll feel better because I won't be crazy. You know, I kind of came up with this little voice as a way to talk about my anxiety to my friends so that they understood that I knew I was being irrational, but that this is how they could help me, you know, and meet my irrationality a little bit so that we could all have a better time.
My boyfriend does this.
Really?
Yeah. When's your birthday?
July 8th.
Interesting.
When is your boyfriend's birthday?
He's a Pisces, so not the
Okay,
same.
never mind.
But that's a really beautiful sense of awareness, right? And also care for those that you love and want to love you.
Thank you. Well, it's just kind of a funny little joke, but I then kind of got this audition and I was like, oh, that's anxiety. Like this character that I'd created in my own, that was the first time I was like, oh, I think I have a shot of getting this part because this character that I created to help me take care of myself could help me take care of Riley
But would
as
you
anxiety.
use that character to communicate with those around you?
In my life?
Yeah.
Mostly like my near and dear. I mean, people I'd go to the airport with.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, like one of the coolest things a human being can do is take on the responsibility of being any Disney Pixar character. It really is. Like, has that set in at all?
It's a pretty big deal. I mean, it's where dreams come true, you know? It's really, especially in a movie like this, you know? This movie, I believe, is something really good to put into the world, you know? And it's rare to get to put anything good into the world, you know? Even good movies sometimes aren't good things to put into the world. But this is, you know, like this is positive and it helps people. I call it priming you for empathy. I think the Inside Out movies prime you for empathy and they get you ready to look at you and know that you have all these guys going on in your head too. And like, we're the same, you know, like, oh, you're as complicated and strange and stressed and loving a person as I think I am. And any movie that can make you look at people that way and remember their humanity and remember their pain and make you laugh and is safe for kids and is fun for the whole family. I mean, it's just like, it's a special, rare rainbow thing.
It will play such a pivotal role in so many lives.
I know.
Like, the introduction of even just on the baseline of like the introduction of the feeling of anxiety and what that is to somebody, like that is crazy.
I know.
You are that voice.
I know. And especially in this time period, you know, I mean, I like that Amy Poehler says this. She says, Pixar's not gaslighting us. You know, by bringing in a character like anxiety, it's been 10 years since the last Inside Out movie. And it's been a really brutal 10 years. And kids are stressed. Yeah. You know, they're stressed. And I'm so honored to get to play this character who helps to depict what their stress looks like. You know, even there's an amazing scene in the movie, spoilers, okay? But it's not really a plot spoiler, but it's a spoiler where anxiety hacks into Riley's imagination and gets this like magical place that used to be full of lollipops and candy canes and pillow forts and turns it into a factory for creating worst case scenarios. And I don't know, it really moves me. And I think it's still Disney. It's not like it goes into like, I've been talking about this a lot. Like they asked me if I relate to Riley. And Riley is my dream kid and the dream kid I wish I was. You know, she's like, is having a lot of pain and a lot of stress, but it's within the realm of like a healthy human having stress. And I was so much more delinquent and depressed as a teenager. But I think that I still relate to Riley because they give you the tools of all these emotions, and you can imagine what the salt shaker combo is in your mind, you know? Or you can look at Riley's salt shaker combo, you know, the spices that are going into her soup, and be like, oh, wow, yeah, they put way too much paprika in mine, you know? So yeah, I think it'll be good.
Riley is designed for everybody to like see themselves in her and what she's going to a certain degree. You're right. Like you understand the ingredients and how you're made up. Really beautifully said, and very like you're eventually going to see like a character of anxiety, and like you're going to be like a human-sized anxiety is going to be standing in front of you. Are you prepared for that?
I am. It's another really cool thing about animation is it doesn't. Can I say fuck?
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't fuck with your head as much. You know, it when you go to see a giant billboard of your face on something, you're like, what is my life? Who am I? What is happening? Like, is this changing my life forever, or is this a flash in the pan? Like, what is this? And why is my face on the street? But when you see your animated character as a giant doll or a poster, it's
or a
just
person in a suit.
You just feel gratitude. You know, you just like I didn't draw that character. I didn't come up with how she looks. I influenced how she moves a little bit with my gestures, and I lent my voice to her, but I just feel gratitude that I was given the opportunity to lend my voice to that kind of character. And it's like, oh, that's my friend. That's not me. My friend anxiety, you know, is and I'm so proud of my friend. It doesn't feel like it's me.
It's pretty cool. The way you rationalize like yourself on a billboard, that still, has having famous parents helped you rationalize that or understand that, or still just as weird?
Weirder than I thought.
Yeah.
When I imagined my life and what I'd learned from my childhood and how I would take it forward, I did not expect it to be as weird as I experienced it as.
Yeah, is fame what you saw just watching your parents?
First of all, I barely feel famous. I feel like moderately famous, which is I know is also kind of irrational, but I think that fame has also changed so much.
Truth.
Since the 90s.
How crazy is that when you think like, and you've had the weirdest seed to the evolution. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. So it's changed so much, and so it's so different than what it looked like when I was a kid. So is it what I expected? It's whatever this is that I am in, whether or not that is famous. It is. I don't know what to say. I don't know if I expected some. There are things that are what I expected. There are elements that make sense to me. Like, I know what it feels like to get, tonight I'm going to go to the Inside Out premiere. And I understand what it's like to go to a premiere. I've seen people go to them. I've gone to them. Like, you get dressed up, you go to this thing. It looks very glamorous. It's actually your toes hurt, but like it is glamorous and it's fun, and you get to see the people that you made the thing with, and it's like, okay, great. I know what that looks like. The whole social media aspect of it is so different than anything I could have understood or expected. The pop culture phenomenon of a television show is so different than anything either of my parents had. And like, or, you know, we're a part of like it's really, I don't know, it's all different. But it's interesting, and I continue to enjoy the intellectual exercise of navigating it.
Because it's different, can you seek guidance from your parents? Do they understand?
Sometimes. Yeah, I mean, like, I think in a pretty normal way. Like, I think what's helpful about it is they've known me for a really long time.
Oh,
and
no way.
Yeah, and so they can reference how these different things are impacting my development and what might be developmentally damaging or beneficial to engage in or do. And so it's that kind of advice that I think I seek more than anything else. Is like, am I ready for this? Is that cheesy? Like, should I put all my eggs in this basket or not? What do you think? You know, that kind of thing.
And by the way, like, that's the most invaluable advice, right? Like, that could end up shaping the moves you make and the creator you become, the artist you become. How do you when it comes to music, right? Are you making this music solely for yourself, or do you care at all about anybody else?
I'm actually currently having a really hard time with that question, because when I am in the act of creating something, streams, people liking it, people reviewing it well, whatever, is the furthest thing from my imagination. I am like just thinking about the song. What do I think is cool? What do you think is cool? The other people in the room, like, can we do something new? Can we try something different? Like, I don't know. And that's how my brain is working. It doesn't occur to me to think about selling the thing. And then it comes out and I find myself completely desperate to have everybody like it. Like, just wanting to be liked so badly. And I have to have real talkings with myself where I'm like, well, we have two choices here, right? We either can focus more on being liked while we're being creative. And like we can consult with some people. We need to consult with some people who have made things that people like. And we need to get some more cooks in this kitchen. And like we need to, maybe you got to work with some other kinds of people who make more pop. Maybe you got to figure that out. Or we have to make a different decision, which is we have to figure out how to care less about being liked. And on the back end. And when I put it to myself that way, the choice seems very obvious. It's like become a new person or, build a thicker skin.
Yeah.
And I would much rather build a thicker skin than become a new person. But it is tricky.
But it is deeply attached to the deeper why, right? Like, why do you need to make something? Why do you need to craft art? Like, why do you need to make it? Why is music the right vessel? Like, what do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's the why.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
If somebody says something you like if there's like you see something on TV that you like an expression.
Yeah.
What do you do with it?
Expression. I mean, like a phrase?
A phrase or just something you've never heard before. Like something
I'd share it with someone.
that touched you.
Share
Would
it
you
with
write
somebody?
it? Would you write it down?
I mean, maybe, yeah.
Or maybe to hold it in your head and remember it and repeat it later?
Yeah.
Like I want to understand why I liked it. I want to understand, like in a deep way, why did that thing that person said, why did it matter to me? What touched me about that? And then I want to figure out what's the deal with the language of the phrase. Is it rhythmic? Like, is there internal rhyme? Is there assonance? Is there consonance? Like, why does this phrase work? Why does it move the needle? Why does it get into your head? And then usually through the process of asking those questions, I'm like, okay, how does it apply to my life? And then kind of, I want to add more phrases onto it. I want to keep writing and keep building and creating kind of a longer tower of analysis, and analyzing why something hit me.
Your desire is to connect.
Yeah. And so that's one way. And then the other way is that I could have a really powerful feeling that I want to communicate to someone and I want to express it to them and I don't feel like I can tell them or talk about it. And so I want to write a song. Those are kind of the two ways.
You can listen to all Maya's music. It's waiting for you on Amazon Music. There's a link below. Click, click, click. All 3 albums hanging out there.
You did have a lyric that stuck out to me and Dark when you said just one more ice cream scoop out of your brain. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what that means, but something about it just stuck with me.
That's so cool. Well, isn't there an old expression about from anti-drug campaigns from the 80s about oh yeah, it's gonna take an ice cream scoop out of your brain? Don't you remember this a little bit?
This is true.
So it's a joke about that.
Got it.
It's kind of the end is a version of someone going in to have a transcendental experience at the end of the song to kind of try to break out of their depression. Which is where you get the pink matter, dark matter, corporate ladder, glass shattered. It's the world is you're making connections you wouldn't normally make and going to have a transcendental experience to get out of your blues.
Which is, that is a form of management for depression, correct?
It is.
Yeah. Usually a last resort.
Usually a last resort.
Yeah. Very weird conversation that's been coming up recently.
Yes.
Yes. Do you do it? Have you done it?
I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
TMS or what are you talking about?
No. I'm talking about transcend. I'm talking about mushrooms.
Oh, yeah. People do that too.
People do that too, which is, I think, less of a last resort.
Yeah, definitely less of
Less of a last
Could
resort.
be a first resort.
Could be a first
sometimes.
resort. Actually,
Do a fucking hero dose and get some understand your problem.
and understand your problems, and that I've done a couple times in my life, and I find it to be extremely wonderful. I haven't messed with anything else. I'm a little bit of that stupid, like, even though I know that like everything that is made on the earth is natural because it is made on the earth. Like, I'm a little bit like, if it grows in the ground, I'm okay with it.
I respect that.
And so, but that's what I meant by transcendental.
Got it. I fucked up. But shrooms are good. Shrooms are,
They're good.
get the answers.
I don't know if they have answers, but I think that they can help. They can help you. I mean, the only answer they ever gave me was that God was a mushroom.
Interesting.
Where I was like, you egomaniacal plant. Like, what do you, like, I just took mushrooms and it was like, I was like, oh my God, God is mushrooms. And I was like, this plant has a huge ego, But that's the only direct answer they've ever given me. But I think they can help you ask better questions and like kind of explore your emotional landscape and like smooth out the waters,
Whether you're right, the plant does have an ego.
The plant does have an ego.
It's so true.
It's an ego-y plant. Everything starts to look like mycelium and like you can see the connections and the folds and like the mold and everything.
Yes.
Mold starts to look kind of beautiful.
Yes.
It's like clouds look like mold. I was like, this is an ego-y plant, or mushrooms are God, and I just solved it.
Damn.
Anything's possible.
Damn. You want to take him, Dan?
No, not really.
No. Okay.
Sorry, I was just told you need to rap.
Oh.
Okay,
Well, Black Ice. I wanted to talk about it.
great.
Great record.
Thank you.
You become an angel in human form.
Does that make sense when we put it that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it?
No. And that's kind of my point, I think. I mean, I think that's too much to, I mean, maybe you've read that that's from a therapy session that I had as a kid. That's some crazy weird witches who said that to me. And I think my point is, it does not make sense when you put it that way. I am not an angel. Why are you telling me that I'm an angel? That is too high a bar. Like, I'm going to go through life thinking that I'm an angel now. And that, like, I have to do all this good all the time. And I have to, like, a lot of pressure. Like, no, it does not make sense when you put it that way. Wow. Like, you know what I mean?
So, but that record written by a couple people, right? Your brother's on that record?
He is, yeah.
Your boyfriend's on that record?
He is, yeah.
Jesse Harris?
Yeah, he is.
And is Sadie doing background vocals on that record?
Yeah.
So, okay, how does that all, explain to me the process.
Basically, I mean, this is, to me, actually, weirdly, even though it has 1,000 writers on it, the song that I maybe kind of wrote the most by myself. But I brought it, I was really nervous about writing songs by myself at this period in time. And so I brought it to, like, everyone. And I showed it to my brother, and he helped me reharmonize the chords, and I showed it to Jesse, and he helped me reharmonize the chords, and and then I later showed it to Christian, and we reharmonized the chords, and we changed the melody at the end, where we added that kind of "give up, be loved" kind of repeating extended chorus, and he wrote something else on it. I can't remember what right now, but so I was kind of just like really seeking help because I'd never put out a song that I was a musical writer on at all. And I was incredibly worried that it was going to be bad because I had been a writer on it. And so I was seeking a lot of feedback.
I get that, though. Like, you want to know. You want to understand.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you take feedback? You apply it, obviously.
I'm pretty good with feedback, I think, usually, as long as I'm in a good mood. I think sometimes if I'm too excited about my idea and I think it's too good in someone, like if I really like it and someone's like, I don't know, then I can be a little like, but if I've asked the question, I'm not good with unsolicited feedback. I'm great with solicited feedback.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah, like if you're in the mode for constructive criticism.
Yeah, if you're like, what do you think of this?
Yes.
Yes.
Did your boyfriend produce the entire album?
He did.
Does that make it easier?
We weren't dating at the time.
Oh.
Interesting.
But we'd been friends for 4 years.
Well, but there's records on there about past love.
Yes.
So what is it like to craft that with the person you're in love with, or probably were falling in love with during this process?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It is awesome. I mean, I cannot recommend highly enough dating your friends. It's the best. They know you. They understand that you are a person and a human being who has dated other people, who has dated them, who has feelings and is a living, breathing human, not just a piece of paper for them to project their image of perfect girlfriend onto. And so it's the best. To feel seen in that way, to feel like someone you're falling in love with can help you work on a song about a time you were in love with somebody else.
It's so healthy.
It's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
That person who understands your little anxiety voice about getting to the airport on time.
They do understand.
And you can share it.
Yeah.
It's really special.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this album's really cool. Listen to
Thank
Chaos
you.
Angel. It's waiting for you. There's a link below. It's all on Amazon Music. All 3 albums are totally up there. And, you probably don't need a reminder, but you should go see Inside Out too.
Thank you.
You're
Go see it.
You're very cool.
Thank you so
I keep
much.
saying that, but come back on whenever you want. As you drop albums, as whatever, we're always here.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you so much. I can't wait to be here again.
Yeah,
You're
Mikasa-
wonderful to talk to.
Yeah, real recognizes real. Maya Hawke, everybody.
Woo!